Hey everybody, Matt Globally here with SRP Medical Marketing, and happy Monday to you if you're watching this on Monday. I am going to start a new series over the next month, and I am going to talk to you specifically about how to make sure that you no longer have slow months in your medical practice. Now, what I mean by that is, if you practice, you probably experience this up. You have a good month, a not so good month, and then an okay month, and then a not so good month, and then you have a great month, and then a not so good month. And you have this peak and valley, if you would, in your practice. And I know exactly how you feel because I've owned 4 medical practices since early 2014. I'll tell you a little bit about that story here in just a minute. And I'm going to share with you my battles of what I've learned, and I'm going to give you some tools and resources if you should want them. So some of this is going to be funny, some of this is going to be educational, but let's go ahead and get started about talk specifically about having no more slow months. So let me tell you a little bit of my backstory about how I got involved in specifically in the erectile dysfunction business. That's where my first 3 clinics focused in on. And a common question I get from doctors all the time, is, Matt, how in the world did you ever get into the erectile dysfunction business? And I always tell people it's because I have an incredibly large passion for men's erections, which of course always elicits a really funny response, but that's not how I got into it. I actually got into it by accident. So my background is I'm a revenue growth expert and a turnaround expert. I got started in the golf industry. I used to be a PGA golf professional. And I got started taking failing clubs or golf courses and making them profitable in a very short amount of time. And I've basically done this my whole life in a lot of different niches and industries. And so after doing that, started my own company in the real estate space. And after the real estate crash of 2008, 2009, like a lot of people in real estate, I was really struggling and hurting for cash. And so I took a job working, not really a job, an independent contractor position with one of my friends, Perry Marshall, and I was helping him grow his company. And so what happened is I got connected with a guy by the name of John Paul Mendoza. And John Paul Mendoza used to be involved in erectile dysfunction clinics before the recession. And he and I would travel a lot together. And one day at breakfast, John never slept. He was one of these guys that he was always up. He'd maybe sleep 3 hours a night. And traveling with him was a trip. I used to have to tell him, I said, John, I just need like an hour where you don't talk. So anyway, we were sitting at breakfast one day in Southern California, or out there in business, and he starts talking to me about the dick business. And he's like, and he goes, Matt, he starts talking about these erectile dysfunction clinics and how, you advertise on the radio and TV, and patients come in and they get an injection in the base of their penis and they get an erection right in the office. And, 12 minutes, you then check their erection, and then, you sell them treatment. And I had to say, whoa, stop. So wait a minute, guys get an injection at the base of their penis. Doesn't that hurt? He's like, no, it doesn't hurt at all. There's no nerve endings in the shaft of the penis, and it hurts less than getting your finger pricked. And, they get immediate result and reaction. He goes, you'd be absolutely perfect for the dick business. And I go, not really sure that's a compliment, John. And he said, why is that? And this is what he said. He said the erectile dysfunction space at that time, this was 2012, 2013. He said it's kind of like the wild, wild west, He said these guys are just coming in, they put up these clinics, they make a bunch of money, and then they skip town, and they leave people all in the bag or whatever. And I said, okay, well, I'm interested. He said, why would I be so good for it? And he goes, because you're like the perfect guy to legitimize it. You know how to build systems, you know how to build teams, you run a bunch of successful businesses, you understand the direct response marketing model. There's a few things you've got to learn, but from the medical side, but you really understand the business side. And that's always been kind of my MO, is I take things that are, I'll do turnarounds, but a lot of those turnarounds are taking things that are kind of here and we grow them to here because I see some hidden potential that nobody else had thought about. And so before I knew it, in summer of 2013, I'm on a conference call with John. He's talking to me about it. I have a partner at the time. We hop a plane, we fly down to Birmingham, we take a look at some clinics that these guys were involved with. And lo and behold, January 21, 2014, we opened up our first erectile dysfunction clinic. And it was a hoot. It was an absolute blast. I don't think I've ever had as much fun in any business in my life. Our first day when we were open January 21, we did just shy of $20,000. And our first full month of being open, we did over $160,000 in our first month. In November of that year, of 2014, we opened our second clinic on the north side of town, which was about an hour away from where we were. And then June of that year, we opened up another clinic in Raleigh, North Carolina. And then, things kind of started happening. I wound up selling my interest about a year later. in parts, and then sold off my final interest in November 2017 for a variety of reasons, which I'll go into at another story because I think it's important that you understand that story. But how I really got into this space was accidental. I was not a medical person. I used to get queasy at the sight of a Band-Aid, but I absolutely fell in love with the medical space. And it was a lot of fun. We were doing $200,000 to $240,000 per month per clinic. We were seeing 50 new patients a week per clinic. We were doing 40 procedures per month per clinic. I mean, it was fast paced, and I got to be involved in that ride as the CEO and general managing partner. So it was a lot of fun. So needless to say, or maybe needed to say, I learned a lot about running clinics, and I'm going to share with you about some of my insights. And I want to make sure that you have no more slow months. I had plenty of slow months, and I'm going to share with you about how to combat them, how to make sure that they don't happen. I'm going to give you guys some resources and some tools. Specifically, you'll see stuff that I actually did in my clinics. I still own one clinic today. It's a startup. I'll share with you exactly what we're doing in a number of those clinics, and hopefully this will be a benefit to you. So that's a little bit of my background there about how I got into this space and why I'm in it. I just absolutely love the medical space. I love making patients feel better. I love seeing them happy. It dials right in with my service side of the business of years and years of being in the private club business. And I'm excited to share these insights with you. So keep an eye out for these. These are going to be coming out every other day for the next month. And like I said, there'll be some funny stories. There'll be some great insights. And I look forward to sharing and hearing your thoughts. Thanks, everybody.